Hey guys, here to get into a Quentin Tarantino film that is, I think, in the grand scheme of his filmography, quite underrated. Jackie Brown. You just really don't hear a lot of people talking about this one as much as his other films, and I think it's because this is, in a sense, the quietest film he ever made for by two Quentin Tarantino standards, which kind of turns out to be a lot like a crime film out of the 1970s. It kind of has a lot of Martin Scorsese influence, but it's also just kind of Tarantino's vision, original Tarantino vision entirely, because this is different than anything else he made, because this is the one time he actually adapted a novel. And typically he writes his own films, and his films feel like they're very characteristic of Quentin Tarantino. And I think that's why this one is not as popular. It's because this is the one time he's adapting a novel, which honestly I feel like that kind of brings out a certain kind of unique strength out of Tarantino, which makes him a lot more of a subtle director. I think I really love. I've never seen him more subtle. Because the dude's a genius at making films, and he makes some of the greatest, most entertaining films that feel very alive ultimately and full of adventure and spirit. But here I just feel like it's just a very laid back, entertaining tone, as opposed to Pulp Fiction, which is it feels like it's out to kind of start a revolution a little more. I feel Jackie Brown just kind of relaxes that, and I really love this shade of Quentin Tarantino. I feel like the closest he came to coming back to this period is honestly Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is just, I don't know, it just feels like it's just a very mature, sensitive, it's just a laid back kind of angle, you could say. But I mean, this is just one of, this is certainly a masterpiece. I think a perfect masterpiece that just really gorgeous filmmaking, really a beautiful, sensitive crime story, you could say. Basically, it's so many extremely entertaining moments. It kind of has this perfect balance of style and substance. It's about every great Quentin Tarantino film would. I love Robert De Niro in this is absolutely incredible. Like, he's so different than anything else he's done in this. Like, he's just kind of just like kind of this just this criminal who's out of prison. He just don't really. He's very unpredictable. He seems like he's just got this bad temper the entire way through, which kind of builds up to some just intense stuff, really. And I don't know, this movie just has the full package, really. I mean, it's just really a perfect screenplay. It's extremely entertaining the entire 2.5 hour run. I love Robert Forster, the way that he's just very subtle in the way that he steals the show, and I really love seeing him in stuff like Twin Peaks: The Return, like Breaking Bad and whatnot. He always has these interesting cameos, but this is kind of his most definitive moment right here. And I love the pacing of this film. There's just a lot of memorable moments the entire way through, and it kind of feels like, again, it's just great to see Tarantino adapting a novel. I think that's just a really different take from it. And of course, Pam Grier, she's incredible in this, and this definitely kind of has again, that feels like that was an interesting thing that was going on in the 90s. Like, a lot of these films were almost out to recapture the spirit of the 70s in a certain kind of way. Like Days of Confused had this, Boogie Nights had this, and then Jackie Brown's another one that kind of feels like this. Like, it feels like a modern film, but it also just feels like very pseudo 70s, particularly, in taking a lot of influence from a lot of blaxploitation. But it's a great character study. I mean, Pam Grier is just really incredible in this, and again, I love the way it's all paced and just really feels like it's just unpredictable, and you never know where it's going to go next. I really love that about it. I don't know. This is just one of those films where when you watch it, it's just endlessly entertaining. I'm always kind of amazed at that. Like, it just doesn't really feel like it's boring or like it's dragging for a moment. It's always just a great scene after great scene. I mean, so many scenes of this. Like, I love all the Samuel Jackson moments with Chris Tucker. Oh, that's amazing. And it's just a really beautiful script, honestly. Like I said, I like the sensitivity that's portrayed between Pam Grier and Robert Forster and their unique friendship. It's just really, really stunning and really resonating too. Like, there's just something about these characters who are just very human in a unique way. That's what Tarantino has. It's a little bit. I think whenever this happens, it almost lands for Tarantino to be just a little more down to earth, And I think that I'm like, okay, I love this shade of Quentin Tarantino. I mean, the man's a genius filmmaker. He's got literally 5 films I would consider a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and this is one of them. I mean, because all the robbery scene, I love all that. With, this robbery gone really bad. Robert De Niro's Lewis just getting hot tempered because the girl he's with just literally won't stop bugging him, and he just ends up going crazy. Man, there's just nothing wrong with this film, I feel like. And yeah, I don't know. It's just again, it also still feels like it's Quentin Tarantino kind of just celebrating a love for pop culture in a lot of ways, as all of his films kind of have, within a life of crime. And I mean, I love all these locations. It's just like like these places like the mall is a huge part of the film. Like it makes a great atmosphere. A lot of bars, a lot of like just Miss Lady's apartments, and usually like just there's something about the story itself of Jackie Brown that's very like romantic, but it's also just like it's tired and burnt out. Also, but kind of like getting to the heart of what a character like that's really looking for. Um, yeah, like you just don't hear people talk about this film very much, but I'm like, this deserves all the praise I think that Quentin Tarantino's best films get because this is just as great. It's just a little quieter, than his other films, a little less stylized in a sense. And one of the last like amazing Robert De Niro roles to come around. I mean, I love The Irishman. That's not one of my favorite De Niro moments. That's way more of an Al Pacino showcase. I feel like. Um, but yeah, I feel like Jackie Brown is just really perfect writing. It's Quentin Tarantino perhaps at one of his all-time best. So I recommend this film to anyone who loves Quentin Tarantino. Maybe not the first Quentin Tarantino film because there's certainly films he's made that, and I almost don't know how to explain it why, but I feel like Pulp Fiction definitely does have something a little bit more of a universal excitement to it. Maybe a little more youthful enthusiasm. Jackie Brown, by contrast, is a little bit slightly more elderly. No, I just love this unique shade of Quentin Tarantino. It's like after this, he would take a 7-year hiatus from making films and just literally he like went in complete isolation and just literally obsessively watched films for like a 7-year run until he made the Kill Bill films. But like moving forward, it's like he kind of just went even further with his own distinct voice because I think he just started wanting to work with a bigger budget after this. This is the '90s were a unique time because that was like an indie Quentin Tarantino, and I feel like the shade of Quentin Tarantino I'm always the most excited about. But honestly, he would bring the spirit back with like Inglourious Bastards, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, even Django Unchained, Hateful Eight. It's like all these films kind of have this quality of greatness to them, and Jackie Brown's just another one of those. I mean, if you love a good crime film, if you're a fan of the '70s particularly, I mean, this film's right at home, and it feels like it's a '90s take on a true '90s take on the '70s, really. So that's Jackie Brown. Pretty amazing film. I highly recommend this.